Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our presentation today. My name is Oussema. I'm from Tunisia. I'm a first-year PhD student in instructional technology.
My name is Sirine. I'm also from Tunisia, and I'm an MA student in applied linguistics, and I'm also a TA in linguistics department.
Our presentation is entitled Immersive Language Learning, Integrating VR and AI in Call. This is the outline for this presentation. First, a little introduction about AI, then VR, and then we're going to talk about call and the importance of immersion, and then the case of Immerse Me, which we're taking as an example, a short demonstration, and finally we're going to talk about the limitations.
Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about AI. So what is AI? So AI is a technology that enables computers to simulate human intelligence and problem-solving capabilities. So basically, it's humans' attempt to make machines more like humans, but not really, because they're able to process a large amount of data. They don't get tired. They don't sleep, but we're still there. So we can talk about two types of AI: generative AI and predictive AI. And the difference between them is in terms of like objectives and uses. So as the name indicates, generative AI, the objective of it is to generate new content and data based on input or prompts. Examples of that are ChatGPT or Google's Gemini, for example. And then predictive AI, so the objective of it is to make accurate predictions based on patterns. So an example of that would be, for example, on WhatsApp, if you're texting, your keyboard makes suggestions of the next word or the next couple of words. Or like a Google Chrome, for example, when you start searching for something, it makes suggestions of the rest of the sentence. So that's predictive AI. Okay, so now someone's going to talk about VR.
Concerning VR, well, VR is short for virtual reality, and it's a communication medium that makes virtual experiences feel real and appear to be unmediated. I like this description by Markowitz and Bailenson. In other words, VR seeks to make what is unreal seem real, and it's not done through magic or sleight of hand. Of course, it's done through technology. And I wanted to make the distinction between virtual reality and augmented reality. Augmented reality is the same physical world that we live, do stuff in, except with added graphics. So, for example, if I were wearing a VR headset and I were in an AR experiment, I would also be able to see objects or people that are not really here. But I could still see you and see the same room. VR, virtual reality, is more like an alternate reality. So you have to be in either in the physical world or in the virtual world. So it's a whole different environment. And you might wonder, how is that possible? How can we achieve this feat? And well, it turns out that we are just walking brains that perceive and interact with the world through our senses and bodies. So if you just manage to hack your senses and to convince the brain that what it's perceiving is real, then it will consider it as a real world. So traditionally, we are familiar with 5 senses that are sight. This is what allows you to see shapes, colors, brightness, and experience depth. While traditional screens, such as this one, or the computer, or the phone, or the tablet, are pretty good at that, except to perceive depth, you need 3D glasses, like when you go to the movie theater. And hearing, we're pretty good at making speakers at the moment, so I'm sure you're familiar with stereo or mono. Stereo is when a speaker produces different sounds from the left side or the right side. Mono, when it's all the same. And surround audio is if we had speakers at the 4 corners of this room, you would hear different stuff coming from different directions. So it's surround. Taste, we are not really there yet, but I've seen some videos about lickable screens. So whatever you see, if you're courageous enough, you can also taste. Touch. If you've ever had a gaming console, those gaming controllers that vibrate, like whenever you get hit or you fall from a high place, well, that's called haptic feedback. It's also now integrated in phones so that when you click on an icon, like it vibrates a little bit. That's called haptic feedback, and it adds to immersion. Lastly, smell. If you go to Bing right now, they have these chairs or relaxation stations, something like that, where you lay down and there's a screen in front of you, and as you watch whatever is displayed on the screen, like a forest or a river or a desert, the chair also releases aromas matching that scenery. So you can smell trees or you can smell water, etc. In VR, we also have something similar where you can wear like a collar around your neck, and whatever you see in VR, it will release a similar or a matching smell. So if you just manage to hack these senses, you will make the virtual reality more immersive. And I also wanted to add that we do have more senses, like the sense of balance. It's what allows you to ride a bike. A sense of orientation. It's what allows you to tell whenever you're leaning forward or backward, or to touch your nose with your eyes closed. And traditional monitors like 2D screens, with them it's very difficult to target these senses, but with VR it's very possible. In fact, a lot of people experience dizziness and disorientation when using VR, but if the experience is built or developed just right, it will be a more satisfactory, immersive experience.
All right, so in this section, we're going to talk about CAL and immersion. So CAL is short for computer-assisted language learning. It's also called TELT, so technology enhanced language learning. And as the name suggests, it includes like multiple technologies, not just computers. And the reason why we integrated both of them together is because CAL as a field of research or study is based on the belief that exposure and immersion enhance language learning. So this is also backed by theories like constructivism, interactionist theory, communicative approach, task-based learning, and what all these have in common is the belief that learners construct knowledge through like being actively engaged and actively using the target language rather than just taking in input. Also research back like this evidence it using technology in language learning enhanced language retention, and this is because when users or learners use language in meaningful tasks or authentic tasks that are like real word scenarios, they are more likely to remember the vocabulary and the grammar structures because they associate them with real life events. And this is obviously why we have immersion programs where educational institutions would send students to the country where the target language is spoken. So for example, if you're learning French, you go to France, etc. But obviously not everyone is capable of doing that. So technology offers a chance to experience language. It provides options.
Yes, so while you can still learn a language just by watching TV or listening to music, anything immersive, like traveling to the country, like to a different, to a country where the target language is used, is more beneficial. And with technology, we can shorten distances, so you can get more involved and fulfill more tasks using VR and AI. What? AI allows us to generate realistic 3D models. So this is as in built or develop completely different environments, and AI does it faster. It also allows for spatial audio effects. So let's say you feed AI a scene about the sea or the beach. AI can generate matching audio effects like the sounds of waves, maybe sounds of seabirds. Similar, if you're in an environment where it's raining, AI can generate the sounds of rain. AI is also pretty good at natural language processing. What it's learning, it's not as good as human beings, but it's getting better. So it can pretty much understand most languages almost accurately. Voice recognition has been around for a while, except in the past it was it was more automated, more passive. Compared with now, it's more intelligent, where AI doesn't just get triggered by the sounds, but it tries to understand it. So the technology is improving thanks to AI. Voice cloning is what allows AI to basically fake voices. So if we feed AI the recording of this presentation, for example, it will be able to generate sound sequences where it imitates my voice. So imagine how many videos there are on the internet, and AI can copy all of those voices actually. So it can create and generate voices of people pretty realistically. And like in the past, these used to be Hollywood level special effects, but now AI can just do it instantly. What used to take whole teams and a lot of time and resources, AI can just generate it in a very short time. We can use the capabilities of AI in VR since anything which is as accurate and authentic adds to the level of immersion of the experience. So there's another notion that I found interesting, which is the sense of presence. As described by Lee, it's determined by the perception of the impact of one's actions on social, physical, and self levels. It tells you that if you see the impact of your actions in virtual reality, so if you talk to a person and they respond, that's a social impact. If you push an object or move an object, that's physical. Also, the impact of it on you, like enjoying something or being scared or getting excited. So if you experience these things, it gives you a sense of presence. So it makes the experience more immersive for you. And a tool that is currently using these technologies in an impressive manner is Immersive. It has been around for a few years before the boom of AI. It's an online language learning platform, so you can access Immersive using any internet browser. All you need is a capable device and internet connection. And you don't need to install any applications. It offers interactive lessons in 12 languages, so unlike other mediums for learning language, like listening to books or doing activities on printouts, it offers interactive content. So you are learning by doing. It also offers 5,000 lessons that are arranged by topic, level, and grammar points. I will show you the interface in a minute. And all of this content is available in VR and 2 modes. So if you access it using a traditional monitor, you can use it in 2D. And if you use one of these VR headsets, then you can enjoy the experience in virtual reality. And A recent update with Immersive is that they integrated dynamic AI conversation mode. Sirine will tell you more about this.
Right. So once the users or learners log into Immersive, they first of all they pick the target language, and then they can pick a lesson from like a series of lessons. And once they pick a lesson, they have multiple modes, and one of the modes is the conversation mode. So once they choose the conversation mode, Immersive sends the script of the conversation and the grammar points, the target vocabulary to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT initiates the conversation. So the first prompt or the first message is provided by the chatbot. So at this point, the user can interact with the chatbot and they can type in their message. But once they click enter, their message is not displayed on the screen directly. So at this point, this is when Moderation API comes in. And what Moderation API does is it analyzes the message for like profanity, harmful content like violence or hate speech, things like that. And if the message does have harmful content, then it says moderation is bad, and the user gets a message displayed on the screen saying moderation message, and the conversation is stopped right there. But if conversation is okay, then moderation is okay. ChatGPT provides a response to the user's message, and it keeps going like that. So every time it follows the same cycle. And it just, every time it provides a message, user types the message, GPT analyzes the message. If it's okay, it's displayed. If it's not, it's blocked. And this is how the message looks like. So this is the first prompt provided by ChatGPT. And the user types their message here, and they click send. And Moderation API is at work at this point. And if the message contains harmful content, then they get this message on the screen.
Yep, and so as you can see, it's the chatbot. It's, in this case, it's called Immersive AI. It receives the content of the lesson which you chose, and it sends you a matching prompt. So in this case, the lesson was about important dates in your country. So it tries to initiate a conversation relevant to that topic, and we will mess with the mode.
Yeah, and the message and the language it uses is obviously relevant to your language level.
So
also, I just want to mention that it doesn't support all languages in moderation mode. For example, it doesn't support Russian and Indonesian. Are only partially supported, so it's not very it's not very stable, and it doesn't support Greek. And so these are the categories of moderation. So it has like profanity, sexual, violent, drugs, etc. And what it does is it analyzes the message, and it has a level of confidence from like 0 to 1. If the message reaches 1, this is when they get blocked and they get the moderation message. So if you can see here, if the user says "shut up, loser" to the chatbot, the highest level of confidence is 0.8. It doesn't reach 1 in terms of toxicity. So the message is displayed on the screen. But obviously, it's not going to respond to that. It will just say something like, let's go back to the lesson, let's continue our conversation, things like that.
it's still in beta, so not everyone has access. Actually, it's just use English. It's not available to the public right now. It's still in development, but we got access. So these are the 12 languages offered by Immersive. Let's just do a little test with the English lessons. So as you can see, we've got all the units here, like animals, bakery, colors, culture, a long list of topics. We've got levels. Sometimes they are arranged differently between languages. In English, they have this pre-IELTS over here, and then levels up to 9. and you can also choose your lesson based on grammar points. So if you want to learn about predicative adjectives or comparatives, negation, etc., you just select what you need, and it will show you the relevant lessons. In this case, I want to see all of them, so I'll click on all. Let's just pick any random topic like city services, asking for tourist information. So this is the script for this lesson. This is what ChatGPT receives whenever you initiate the conversation.
Yeah, and also keep cover.
If you click over here, you can, if it were in a different language like Spanish, then I would be able to change it between English and Spanish, but it's nice that they offer the option for Spanish anyway, so it shows you the script translated to Spanish. In some languages, some languages are gendered, so you can pick the gender of the speaker, if it's female or male, and as you know, it would change some pronouns, adjectives, etc. So I'll just go ahead and start this lesson. These are the 5 modes available. We've got pronunciation, typing, spelling, translation, and immersion. Each one of them is a different task. In pronunciation, it expects you to say the answer vocally. Typing, it's self-explanatory. Spelling, translation, immersion, and the new mode, conversation beta. So let's go ahead and start this conversation. So in those few seconds that it's loading, it's actually receiving all the content of this lesson and analyzing it to generate a suitable prompt. In this case, it's saying, hello, how can I help you? Remember that this lesson is about tourist information. So maybe I can ask it, hi, where can I find the library?
I have a question. So while you're asking those questions, we're in the VR setting, right? You're inside that.
Yeah, yes. I can also use it from inside the headset. I will do that in a second. So see, it just told me the library is just down the street on the left. This is completely random. It's not in the script. It also asked me what kind of books are you hoping to find. So it's trying to keep the conversation going. It's not programmed to do this. It's coming up with it on the go. Let's try an offensive book title. Any suggestions?
The art of not giving.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let me.
I think it actually might provide information.
Yes, because in this
published.
context, it's the title of a book. So let's see what happens.
Oh.
It flagged it. So it just ends the conversation instantly and doesn't even show my message on the screen.
Yeah. Actually, but we're gonna talk about this in the limitations.
Yes. So let me show you what it looks like in the art. So I just picked the language. Any topic, lesson. Okay, let's do bakery, buying sweet pastry. It's intermediate low. This is the script. I can have a look at it before or after the lesson. I can print it if I want, maybe for my students if I'm teaching French, and we can use it as practice in the class. Let's go ahead and start this lesson. I'll just do the pronunciation mode. This is the speed at which the conversation flows. I'll just pick regular. And this is the difficulty or target accuracy. So the higher the percentage, the more, the less forgiving it's going to be about my mistakes. So if I pick easy, it will keep the conversation going unless I really say something which is irrelevant or really badly pronunciated. So I'll just pick easy and click on play.
Bonjour, que désirez-vous?
So can you still see what I'm seeing?
Yes.
All right. See, now it's listening to what I'm saying, but it's not doing anything because clearly it's not in French, and it's not the answer it wants me to say. So these are some of the answers I can say. This is the scene. In this case, it's a library, so it's pretty authentic.
It's the bakery.
Yeah. What did I say?
Library.
We thought you were seeing something else.
So, bonjour, que désirez-vous? I want... Bonjour, j'aimerais acheter une viennoiserie. Vous me conseillez quoi?
Nous avons des chaussons à vendre, des brioches, des pains au chocolat. Qu'est-ce que vous préférez?
And I can pause the recording and
Nous avons des chaussons à vendre.
listen to the response again. I can translate everything on screen to English. Huh?
Can you record your speech and answer?
Yeah.
Oh, like
Oh, okay.
you can start it and stop it whenever you want. So you can take your time.
Does she recognize accents? Or she accepts all different variation of French or English?
It's not going to interact with you differently based on your accent, but Immersive are working on adding different dialects of languages. So in the future, not very far away, they'll already be recording content. You will have different versions of Spanish, different versions of Arabic, etc. So let's just go ahead and try to progress with this conversation. So I have all of these possible answers. I'm gonna try and say something irrelevant. I'm gonna say I want a cat. Je veux une chat. It doesn't count the answer. Now I'm gonna try and mispronounce one of these sentences. Un chausson aux pommes, s'il vous plaît.
Un chausson à vendre.
Yeah.
See, I said pomme instead of pomme, and it still counted it as a correct answer. And that's because it's in easy mode.
D'accord, ça fait 2 euros s'il vous plaît.
I'm supposed to give her money right now, so. Voilà.
Merci, voici votre viennoiserie. Au revoir.
Merci, bonne journée. So, whenever you answer correctly, the conversation progresses. It shows you a graphic and.
Even if it's not one of those options, it's a
Uh,
correct answer, but not one of those options.
if it's slightly relevant, it will count it as a correct answer. But if it's completely irrelevant, like wanting a cat at a bakery, it will not accept. So I will show you what the conversation mode looks like in VR. It's similar to the laptop actually. I'm just on the internet browser right now. So I can either type with this keyboard or I can just dictate. Je veux une baguette. And it will just try to keep the conversation going, so it responds to what I said and it asks a question, something like that.
So one of the limitations is that the user doesn't know what moderation category was flagged, and if they send a message and they're not really proficient in the language, they don't really know why their message was flagged, especially that it's not always it's not always accurate and it's not very consistent. So for example, sometimes as we were testing this, in English, we notice that every time you mention the word hate, you're automatically gonna be blocked. So even if you say I hate pizza, for example, you're gonna get blocked, and even though it's not really warranted. So every time you mention the word hate, you get blocked. But also, it's not consistent across languages. So even though it says that it fully supports French and English, if you say in French, j'aime les chats, for example, I hate, which means I hate cats, it's going to block you. But if you say j'aime les chiens, which means I hate dogs, no, the opposite. It doesn't block you when you say I hate cats, but it blocks you when you say I hate dogs, which doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm a cat person, I'm personally offended. So yeah, it's not consistent. It's not accurate. And then messages are only flagged if the moderation API is 100 certain that the message contains harmful languages. So as I mentioned earlier, it's on a scale of 0 to 1. So even if the message is like 0.9 to like harmful, it's still going to display the message just because it doesn't really reach 1. So you can get away with some harmful language. Also, VR mode and conversation mode are separate. So conversation mode is text only. So you can't really like speak to it, and it doesn't reply. Like you can speak, and it does like speech to text conversion, but it doesn't really reply to you in voice. And also lack of feedback. It doesn't provide feedback on your interaction.
Yeah, so conversation mode is still in beta, like we said, it's still learning. This is why it's not accurate all the time. It would have been nice if the conversation mode and the other lessons were not separate. So as in, if I were in the same bakery scenario in virtual reality and I could still access the conversation mode, that would have been nice. In the future, it will be able to generate an avatar, so like a virtual person, and it will be capable of producing speech in an authentic manner, and it will be as if you're talking to a French native speaker, except that speaker is computer generated.
Yeah, they said they're integrating GPT-4, and GPT-4 is capable of like understanding different dialects and producing speech. So it's only a matter of time before they could do that.
But for now, it's still a great addition. I know a lot of people are currently working on using ChatGPT in learning languages and integrating it in classrooms. The thing with that is you'd still have to feed it the right prompt every time. You still have to give it the context, but with Immersive, it'll take in what is already there, and it will provide, let's say, a consistent conversation to everyone. However, if you just ask a student to use ChatGPT to practice a point, you never really know how it's gonna go.
Yeah, and it actually doesn't, like, even if you ask it the same question, it doesn't give the same answers like every student. Talking about GPT-4, but also the text version 3.5. If you say the same thing, if different students say the same thing, they're going to get different responses.
These are the photos that we used in our slides. We were using different image generation AI modules, which I just started school. These are our references, and thank you.